Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to Day 1, Episode 1 of albums that turned 50 years old in 2022. That's right, we are celebrating those album releases from 1972, a pretty magical year in the history of rock and roll and music in general, I must say. So what we're going to be doing each and every day throughout the month of January, kind of like what we did last year in 2021, is I'm going to go back to 1972 and I'm going to pick out my 31 favorites from that particular year that are celebrating their 50th birthday, their 50th anniversary this year. I'm going to run through each and every day of the month. I'm going to give you a different selection of my list of favorites, and I'm asking you guys to do the same in the comments below. So here we are at Day 1. My first choice was released July 6th, 1972. Released on the Island label, produced by Greg Lake. Of course, I'm talking about the third album from Emerson, Lake and Palmer trilogy. Another one of the classic albums from these progressive rock legends. Of course, the trio of Keith Emerson, Greg Lake, and Carl Palmer. Keyboards, all sorts of keyboards. Vocals, bass, a little bit of guitar, and of course, lots of drums, right? So this is another album from them that, of course, contains a few of their classic songs. You got the Endless Enigma Parts 1 and 2 are on here. You got Fuse. You got the lovely Greg Lake composition From the Beginning, more of like an acoustic type of ballad. He was really big on doing those sorts of things. You got the Sheriff, which is kind of like that tongue-in-cheek, whimsical thing that they would throw on basically every album. Then you got the magnificent, acrobatic, prog rock classic Hoedown. You got Trilogy, the title track, Living Sin, and Abaddon's Bolero. Another fantastic album, just filled with blazing, spellbinding, ridiculous keyboard shenanigans from Mr. Emerson. Just what a player. What a player. I mean, the whole band is great, but obviously, for me anyway, and this is the reissue, the remaster that came out in 2016, for me, the star of this band always was Keith Emerson, even though all three guys contributed really mightily. It's like that Emerson's the guy you came to the band for. You know, with no real full-time guitar player in the band, sure, Greg Lake would contribute some guitar here and there, but, you know, as far as like the soloist goes, it was always Keith Emerson, and just, man, he just wows it on every album. And, you know, whether it's the first album you really like the most, you know, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, whether it's Tarkus, whether it's Pictures in an Exhibition, Brain Salad Surgery, or Trilogy, I mean, that's kind of like the real meat of the ELP discography. And this one always, for me, ranks up pretty high. It's a really good, varied album, lots of great stuff. And it's a prog rock classic for a reason. And I had to include it on my list here because I do love this quite a bit. So, you know, when we, as we go through the month, I do want to reveal one thing. As we go through the month, there are obviously, and I'm sure many of you are already thinking about this, there are a handful of bands that released not one, but two amazing albums in 1972, because that wasn't all that uncommon back in the day. A lot of these bands and artists would crank out albums pretty quickly. They'd album, quick tour, album, quick tour. I mean, that's what they did constantly. So the days of spending, you know, 3, 4, 5, 10 years to put an album out didn't happen all that often back in the early 70s. You had bands that would crank out albums pretty quickly. So again, there were a number of bands who released some stellar albums in that same year, more than one album. And so I thought long and hard. I'm like, geez, well, you know, it's not really fair if out of the 31 album selections, a third of them are all the same band because they happen to release two albums that year. So what I'm going to do is, and again, I'm going to cheat the system a little bit, and I can do it because it's my show. On those days where I'm going to pick one of those albums from one of those bands that are the repeat offenders, you're going to get both of them on that same day. So like on a certain day, you know, I'm picking band A, and they released an album early in the year in 72 and late in the year in 72, and I absolutely love both of them. Well, they're going to count as like one selection, and I'm going to talk about both of them on that particular day, rather than have them take up separate days and just kind of clog up the whole list, because I want to give love to a lot of the bands whose albums I really loved in 1972, and I don't want, like I said, a third of the list to be just, you know, the same five bands, right? Because that doesn't really, to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So you will get days where you're going to get two selections, and they're going to be from the same band. We're going to do that, and there's a way to open this up to more bands during the course of the month. So for today, we've got just the one from ELP, Emerson, Lake and Palmer Trilogy. That is my choice for today. In the comments below, please pick your one choice for day number one. I'm hoping everybody is putting together their list of 31 for the month and checking it twice. We're going to find out who's been naughty and who's been nice. So in the comments below, list your one selection to start the month off. And we're going to do this each and every day throughout the month. So, and I won't be giving anything away. As always, when we do these things, you won't know until you click on the video and start playing. So ELP Trilogy is my pick for today, day one. Stay tuned for day two coming up tomorrow and each and every day throughout the month of January as we look back on 1972, a great year in music. We're going to go across all genres. Classic rock, hard rock, proto-metal, prog rock, jazz fusion, pop, whatever it might be, wherever it might fall. They're all coming up this month. And again, I'm not doing them in any real specific order. I think the top of my list that you'll get at the back end of the month, those are probably my real favorites. But this is not a real kind of, this is the exact order that I prefer them in. It's close, maybe not even. Like I said, the top end of the list is fairly consistent with how much I love those albums. And the ones that are like, you know, from the first today through like the 15th or so of the month, I like these all. All right, there's no real order or anything like that. Just happens to be where I put them on the list. So yeah, ELP Trilogy. We'll see you tomorrow morning with another one. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Like my Humanoids from the Deep shirt. Brand new. Love it. Great film if you haven't seen it. If you're a fan of aquatic monster films, we've talked about it on the Monsters Den before. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow with more stuff. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.